Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for joining the session today on time. Really appreciate it. So digital transformation is really a key takeaway now on everyone thinking. And also from our organizations and SPIS especially, they are trying to digitally transform in one way or another. Transforming into digital transformation or digital world or digital era, along with the autonomous network is very crucial. And in today's session, we are trying to give you some reflections and insights on one of the most successful transitions that we have seen in Middle East. And this is for a leading service provider in United Arab Emirates. It's du-Telecom. And they have very concrete and focused and structured plan and vision for the digital transformation and the autonomous network. My name is Tawfik. I'm a software solution architect, part of the SP architecture team. I had the honor to lead the automation engagement for the last 4 or 5 years. And today, we're going to give you a bit of reflection and lesson learned that we have seen from real world example. The beauty about this session is it is not a theory session. It is not a POC. This is something that have been there for the last 5 years. And we are trying to show you what have been working well, what have went well, and what are the best steps or steps that you can take to achieve this kind of scale automation and the autonomous transformation. So our agenda for today is a bit simple. We are going to explain first what have been done on the last 5 years from do perspective, what are the kind of use cases, what are kind of strategies that have been implemented with do. And also we are going to focus on how we was able to deliver this transformation and this transition into do, supported by Cisco CX, and how Cisco CX was able to help the customer to achieve the vision and the goals that they are aiming for. And last but not least, the BVR, so the business value realization, which is the main fuel of the customer to be able to continue investing and working towards the goal that they are aiming for. Okay, so as you have heard multiple times, automation is a journey, but we need to identify some milestones just not to get bored while we are on this journey, right? So the automation starts normally small scale, simple tasks, small teams, and this is what we have seen in most of the accounts. So we start with task automation like simple activities like port turn up, interface configuration. There is multiple, these are the normal day-to-day activities that the teams or the organization is trying to automate at the beginning. And then we move to more complex automations like, for example, device automation like ZTB, zero-touch provisioning, any kind of these bigger scale use cases. Then we move to the next stage, which is the domain automation. So the customer, for example, identify a specific domain or a specific entity that they want to automate, for example, like mobility automation or enterprise services or access domain that they want to automate. So they start to identify what are the use cases that will be able to achieve this goal. And then in order to be able to achieve this goal, we found out that to be able to have this end-to-end vision or end-to-end automation, we need to touch multiple domains. So we move into this multi-domain orchestration where we have multiple devices in different domains are being automated as part of this end-to-end vision. The ultimate goal that we are trying to achieve, and this is what we have done at Do, is the business automation. So the business automation is the main fuel for the automation in general. Business is the main objective that we are trying to automate. So from the customer perspective, they want to be able to provision services in a simpler way, in a faster way, and more organized fashion. So this is the automation architecture that we have ended up with at Do. Of course, we didn't start at this scale. We have started very simple with only NSO. We have automated only single use case. This is back 2017 for ZTB. And by the time and setting the vision with the customer, we was able to transition and upgrade this architecture into what you are seeing now. So we see here mainly 4 boxes or mainly 4 components. We can see Cisco SPIS, and Cisco SPIS is a CX product which we normally use for the custom GUI development. So as part of our journey, we have emphasized on the customer experience and the easiness of use. That's why we have developed a custom portal for the customer for all the use cases that have been implemented, and we call that Unified Operation Portal. It is unified because it is single pane of glass. All the teams from different domains, they are able to use this single portal to communicate and deal with their use cases. SPIS also comes with out-of-the-box capabilities for AI and analytics, and we have also used these capabilities for some of the use cases that have already implemented on production. Cisco BBA is our workflow engine, and this is important when we talk about value delivery or business automation, because this is what stitches these different use cases that you have automated together, right? This also allows us to do approval cycles, it allows us to do multi-step provisioning, and so on. It also contains the API gateway, Kong platform. Both BBA and SPIS, they are microservice-based architecture, so they come up equipped with some of the tools that we use from time to time. So here, for example, Kong API, we are using it to be able to expose all the APIs that we are automating, all the use cases that we are automating to the northbound system, compliant with TMF forum, so we can expose these services to the northbound systems. Cisco NSO is, of course, the main component in this architecture, which allow us to do the service provisioning, service pooling, and network discovery, and all kind of network touch points. As you can see, also we have Nokia NSP and other EMSs and NMSs from different vendors, and we are able to communicate with these elements to be able to provision services to these devices if you are not communicating with them or managing them directly. Cisco Automation is a recent addition to the automation stack, and the purpose of Automation, as you have heard in different sessions previously, that it is using for the probing and to be able to test. So Cisco Automation, as I was saying, that this is the recent addition, and we have been adding Cisco Automation onto the automation to be able to do what we call orchestrated assurance. In other terms, that we are not only provisioning the services, we are not only configuring the services, but we are also making sure that these services that we have automated will be matching the agreed SLAs and QoS profile. So Automation has different type of testing. They have virtualized SFPs, they have hardware SFPs. So and it's very capable because one SFP can initiate up to 2,000 sessions, right? So we don't need big number of SFPs. We are able to cover most of the network with a small number of SFPs. Downside, you can see the network, and you can see here different domains from DC, from transport, mobile, IGW, and all these domains have been already penetrated. All of these domains have been already, we have delivered use cases on these domains, stitching them together to be able to achieve the end value or the end-to-end automation for the different verticals. Okay. So here we are also trying to summarize the domains that we have already automated. As we have explained, this is our Cisco Automation platform. As we explained, Cisco BBA, NSO, SPIS, and Automation. And this automation platform is responsible to automate use cases into different domains, from access, transport, core, RAN, DC, and also we are starting new use cases like, for example, APM provisioning for mobility, 5G slicing, and technical cloud related use cases. By this architecture and this automation stack, we are able to achieve service provisioning, we are able to achieve migration services, we are able to achieve assurance, observability, which will be discussed in details and explained by Telmo on the next section. This slide summarizes the use cases that have been achieved so far. We are exceeding actually 50 use cases so far. Most of these use cases are already in production. As we mentioned at the beginning, the idea of automation is not only to develop a use case that will be serving a specific purpose. The idea of the automation and in this journey, you need to put in mind that these use cases will meet up in one point of time, right? And these use cases will need to be stitched together to achieve this value delivery that we are talking about. So for example, for enterprise services, we identified what are the services that need to be automated for the enterprise domain. We have automated all the services from A to Z. We are not only automating the service provisioning, but also we are seeing how these services could be used, right? So what we have achieved in enterprise service, for example, domain, from the access switch, we are able to identify how these access switches are connected to the network, which BDS is connected to, is it which topology that this access switch is part of, and you are able automatically to identify the configurations that need to be pushed to these several elements and network devices, either they are Cisco devices or multi-vendor devices. At the same time, also on the IGW, for example, we have automated all the use cases related to this domain, right? So we are not stopping automating in one domain unless we are able to finish all the use cases on this domain. So operation team, the relevant team members are able to use these use cases into day-to-day activities, and they are not doing any kind of manual activity afterwards. So for IGW, for example, we have automated the BGP optimization, prefixes manipulation. We are able to automate the resolution of congestions on the peering links. Either these links are transit peering links, private peering links, and so on. And also we have automated the provisioning of these peering links to the customer, right? I'm not going through all the details. This is a big number of use cases, as you can see, but there is one important point, which is business process automation. So now we are not only automating network services and use cases, but also we are automating the processes. Very simple processes, very absolute processes. It's not touching the network. So for example, we are automating the OLT rollout planning, right? So we identify who are the stakeholders, which teams are engaging together into the normal process to automate these, to plan for these activities. We stitch them into a workflow process, and every team is giving the input, and we are able to enforce SLAs that to be able to restrict the time that it takes to plan for these activities. So this is the Unified Operation Portal. As I mentioned, we call it UOB. And as you can see on the left side, you will be able to see different domains, like from enterprise to IGW to infrastructure and so on. And this is, of course, based on the RBAC system. So teams from IGW, for example, they will be able to see only IGW-related use cases. Infrastructure team, they will be able to see infrastructure-related use cases and so on. And using SPIS Grafana, one of the capabilities that we have on SPIS, we have built multiple dashboards for the different teams or different use cases that enables the team to have a single look and comprehensive information about how the use cases are performing and if there is any issues that have been identified. One of the main lesson learned that we have seen also in do account is the importance of adoption, right? So implementing a use case and putting it on the shelf, this is not helping anyone. This is not a good reputation for Cisco. This is not good for the planning team who decided to have this use case. So the customer and ourselves is trying to make sure that these use cases are being used efficiently. We are trying to streamline and enhance and make it as much as we can flexible and easy to use for the teams. We are trying to engage the team from day one, the stakeholders from day one, so they can give us inputs and the ideas of how these use cases need to be added. We have also implemented dashboards to show the adoption to the executive team, right? So they are investing big amount of money, especially on this account. So they want to see the return on investment. They want to make sure that these use cases that we are investing on are being used, right? So this dashboard, this is a real data that being presented to the executive and the management at Do, and it shows the number of transactions that have been done on each of the use cases on daily basis. You can see also some red flags or red color because this is real time. So some of these use cases, for example, indicate that there was outage or there is a device connectivity issue at one point of time, and Telmo is going to give us a few details about observability and what we have done on this domain in more detail. Just to wrap up the overview for Do. We have been working on this account, as I mentioned, for 5 years. This is one of the biggest automation engagements for Cisco CX. We have more than 80 engineers working on this account. We have been increasing the number of Scrum teams until we have reached 10 Scrum teams. These teams are working in parallel. They are working on different domains, dealing with different stakeholders. And each of the Scrum team has a tech lead or a product owner. They work with me as a product manager to be able to plan and design the use cases, and then they take it with the development team to be able to execute. We have done already 200 sprints on this account, which is a big number. And I'm going to, in the next step, I'm going to, or next phase, or next item of the agenda, I'm going to explain how we have delivered this amount of sprints, how we are able to automate and deliver this amount of use cases using a scaled agile framework. We have done 50,000 hours of code development, and based on our team capacity, each use case almost took 2 sprints to 2.5 sprints, which is average time for the implementation. Of course, we are emphasizing on the importance of DevOps and CI/CD. Without CI/CD, using all the tools like Jenkins, GitHub, SonarQube, all of these tools that help us to automate and deliver use cases to make sure that whatever use cases or feature that we are delivering to the customer is not breaking any of the previous, and we are making sure that regression testing is always a trigger to make sure that we have a consistency on our delivery. Value delivery approach. So we have already discussed what we have delivered. Now we are going to discuss a bit more about how we delivered these deliverables to the customer from use cases and value. So what we call it scaled value delivery model, and this is coming from the scaled agile framework, or SAFe. Scaled agile framework is we call it a scrum of scrum, right? When you have big number of scrum teams working in parallel, delivering use cases in the same time, you need to have an approach that can manage the execution and the delivery of these teams. That's why we use scaled agile framework, and for scaled agile framework, we are planning not for the next months, we are planning for next quarter, next 3 months. So we identify what are the objectives, we sit with the customer to identify priorities, and so on. And one of the most important things that we do in the workshops of the PI, we identify the themes, right? So what is the theme that we want, or what is the main achievement or goal that we want to achieve by the end of this PI? And we split this into smaller initiatives, and from smaller initiatives to use cases. And these use cases will be translated later into a backlog. This backlog will be well identified, well estimated, well documented, and then it will be on executable backlog that can be executed during the normal sprints. So here we focus on, we deliver the value. As we mentioned, we see the use cases, what have been delivered before, what we are going to deliver next, and how these use cases will be stitched together, right? We don't want to deliver every PI a single use case or a use case that is in silo working in different world, right? We're trying always to build a story over time. So at one point of time, we will be able to stitch this theme or this domain end to end, like the example that we are going to show in the next slide for the mobile delivery. The last step, which is measure. If you cannot measure, you cannot enhance, right? So this is what we are doing with the Grafana and the different dashboards that we are delivering to the customer. This is one quick example of the mobile automation theme. So as we mentioned, themes are split into initiatives. Initiatives is to split it into use cases. And this is one theme of the mobile automation. So what the customer wanted to do, he wanted to automate all the processes and use cases related to mobile domain. He doesn't want to touch the mobile domain in any means manually, right? So what we have done, we have identified what are the stages, what are the steps that the customer is taking today to be able to deliver or to plan or to execute a new site, new cell sites, CSGs, right? So we have identified that there is a planning team, there is a physical deployment, there is IP connectivity, there is site transport, RAN commissioning, and then testing, and then acceptance, right? We have also set with each of these teams, we identified what is the time it takes the team to execute and do all each of these processes, and we found out that this is taking almost or average 60 hours, right? Then we move to the next stage where we have tried to think about how we can automate these stages. Can we develop use cases that can replace this manual task? Can we even automate the processes from work using the workflow engine? And we found that there are possible use cases. So we identified, for example, a use case called cell site rollout, which is very standard workflow that just stitch these different teams together for the planning to give the inputs. And then we have also identified the CSG ZTB for the cell site gateways. We have identified mobile provisioning and migration, which is the actual service that provision the mobile services like 2G, 3G, 5G, all the services, plus migration. We have also identified RAN ZTB, and at the end, we have also automated the process of acceptance. Once the vendor, for example, Nokia or Cisco or Huawei, they provision new CSG site, what is the procedure that they take so can accept this new site? After automating these processes and stitching them in one business process, we have dramatically decreased the amount of time required from 60 hours to 7 hours, which is almost 88% optimization. Again, this is how we implement, as we mentioned, from roadmap, strategic objectives, backlog, program backlog, review and approve which of these features or use cases will be executed. The PI plan that we do with the customer every 3 months, we identify the priorities, and then we translate these priorities into executable backlog, which will be the sprint execution. Last section, which is most important one, again, the value realization, right? How we can make sure that these use cases are really bringing value by benchmarking. We need to measure before and after the automation. These are some examples that have been also demonstrated on the last Cisco Live in Amsterdam. And these numbers that we came from the customer, these before automation, this is the number that we got from operation team mouse, right? We didn't even challenge. We know for a fact that, for example, mobile service provisioning, it doesn't take 15 minutes. We know it takes maybe 4 hours, right? But however, we didn't argue. And after the automation, you can see the difference, right? You can see more than 48 faster time. You can see, for example, in the ODR reporting, which is very simple use case, which is doing the impact analysis for, so OER is a simple use case just to do the impact analysis. Whenever we want to bring down one device, the customer wanted to know who are the customers, who are the which services will be impacted when you bring out this device. So this used to take them 3 weeks, right? We did it in 30 minutes. So this is 240 times faster than before. Last slide. This is another simple use case, and this is very important to start with the smaller use cases that has high frequency or high impact, right? The customer will not wait for you for 6 months to deliver one use case or 1 year, right? This use case was able to deliver in maybe 2 sprints or 3 sprints, and it simply suspend the internet service for customer who didn't pay the bill for the last 3 months. As simple as that. So the customer used to take 15 minutes to suspend the customer, trying to find which device, which contract ID, which QoS profile that he wants to suspend, and then suspend the service. After the automation, the customer easily can go to the portal, search with the contract ID, press one button, suspend. So from 15 minutes to 2 minutes, so with simple math, this is 13 minutes saving in each transaction. After the first months of rolling out this use case to production, this have been used more than 1,700 times, right? So if you multiply 107,000 times by the 13 minutes, this gives you almost 400 hours of saving, just from one use case that we took 2 sprints to automate. Yeah, that's it. I don't have time for this one, I believe, but it will be on the slides. Just the key takeaways. Start small and with the most impactful use cases, as I mentioned. Deliver in cadence. You need to put in plan the ultimate goal that you want to achieve. Engage the right customer evangelist. This is one of the most important things that we have seen and makes the success of this account. We have been dealing with Ahmed Suleiman. Ahmed Suleiman is the transport and planning director. He is very well educated and understand what is the automation value, and he helped us a lot. Showing BVRs is the biggest supporter, as we have mentioned, and understand the customer priorities and work on these towards these priorities. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Hello. Hi, Amr. So you mentioned the importance of the adoption and production of these use cases, and you're giving good advices and insights here. Is there any situation that you could share with us of when that adoption in production did not go so smoothly, and then how did you deal with it? Yes. What kind of lessons learned you had from that experience?
So in multiple domains, what we have seen that, or the mistake that we have made at the beginning, that we was not engaging the right stakeholders from early enough, right? So we found out that, for example, when we reach to the ATB phase, there are some people that we see them for the first time, and they see us for the first time, and they see the use case for the first time. So they have different expectations, different understanding, and they are the main stakeholders. They will not accept the use case in production before their suggestions or these requirements will be implemented. So adoption is a key, and if you want to have high level of adoption, you need to engage the right people from day one, during the design, during the implementation. Yeah. Thank you.